Worked remotely to take care of my stepson who injured his back, then overheard him bragging to his mom about faking his injury to get me fired. When I confronted him, he smirked. "It's your fault for being so gullible." His mom laughed. "You actually believed him?" That night, I packed my bags. Then he screamed when he saw what I left behind. I never thought my life would fall apart because of a teenage boy. For years, I considered myself a patient man, a good man, the kind of person who did the right thing even when no one was looking. I built a steady career, married a woman I loved, and stepped into the role of a stepfather with the kind of dedication I thought would make a difference. Turns out, none of that mattered. Because one night, I overheard something that changed everything. My name is Martin Wells, and this is the story of how I lost my marriage, my job, and, most painfully, my belief in family. I've always worked hard. Grew up in a blue-collar home in Kansas City, where my dad fixed cars and my mom waitressed until her feet swelled up like balloons. They taught me the value of hard work, of being reliable, of not making excuses. I carried that with me when I moved to Denver and built a career in software development. I was never the smartest guy in the room, but I was the one willing to grind longer, push harder. That work ethic got me a great job at a tech firm. It also gave me the life I always wanted, a nice home, a stable future. Then, Holly came along. She was a single mom when we met, raising her son Braden on her own. He was 10, a quiet, lanky kid with shaggy brown hair and big, cautious eyes. Holly told me she'd left his father years ago, some deadbeat who bailed the moment things got hard. She said she wanted stability, a real partner, and I wanted to be that for her. When we got married, I didn't just marry Holly, I committed to Braden too. I wasn't naive. I knew being a stepdad wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to put in the effort. What I didn't realize was that no matter how much I gave, it would never be enough. It started on a Monday morning in late October. I was in my home office, buried in work, when my phone rang. It was Holly. "Martin, it's Braden. He fell at school." "What? How bad?" "They think it's his back. I need you to pick him up." I didn't hesitate. When I got to the school, Braden was in the nurse's office, stretched out on the cot like some injured soldier. His face twisted in pain as soon as he saw me. It hurts so bad," he groaned. "All right, let's get you home," I said, helping him to his feet. He moved slowly, wincing dramatically. The nurse said he should rest and see a doctor if the pain didn't improve. Holly was working late, so I took Braden to urgent care. The doctor did a quick evaluation. "Lumbar strain," he said. "Rest and no heavy activity for a while." That was all Braden needed to hear. The moment we got home, he flopped onto the couch and acted like he was paralyzed. I worked remotely, so I figured I could handle things, bring him food, help him up when needed, and still keep up with my job. What I didn't anticipate was how demanding he'd become. "Martin, can you bring me a drink?" "Martin, I'm hungry again." "Hey, can you adjust the pillows? My back's killing me." At first, I didn't think much of it. He was in pain. I wanted to be supportive. But after a few days, it was all-consuming. I was missing meetings, turning in work late, and barely keeping up. My boss sent me an email. "Martin, we need you fully present. If this continues, we'll have to reevaluate your role." Translation? Shape up or get replaced. I showed Holly the email that night. "I think Braden needs to start trying to move around more. I'm falling behind at work." She barely looked up from her phone. "Martin, he's in pain. Have some compassion." "I do, but he doesn't even try to get up. If I suggest it, he acts like I'm asking him to run a marathon." She sighed. "He's a kid. He just needs time." I let it go. Big mistake. A week passed. Braden still hadn't gone back to school or left the couch. Meanwhile, I was drowning. Then, one night, everything changed. I was in my office, trying to catch up on work, when I heard laughter. Braden's laughter. Confused, I walked out and stopped outside his bedroom. The door was cracked open. He was on his bed, fully sitting up, grinning as he talked on the phone. And that's when I heard him say it. "Mom, it worked. He's actually buying it." I froze. "He's doing everything. Meals, cleaning, even skipping work." Holly's voice came through the phone. She was laughing. "You actually believed him?" she said, amused. Braden chuckled. "God, he's so gullible. I thought he'd catch on when I asked for snacks every 5 minutes. But nope." "Well, that's his fault," Holly said. "He always tries too hard. You just made it easy." I couldn't breathe. My own wife. My own stepson. Laughing. Mocking me. I stood there, heart pounding, anger like I'd never felt before boiling in my veins. I could have stormed in. Could have screamed, flipped the bed, thrown my wedding ring in her face. But instead, I took a breath. Then I turned and walked away. That night, I packed my bags. The next morning, Braden dragged himself into the kitchen. "Hey, Martin, can you?" He stopped mid-sentence. Because sitting on the counter was his gaming laptop, smashed to pieces. Next to it, a single note. "Your move, kid." His face twisted in horror. What the hell?" His scream woke Holly. She ran in, groggy and confused. Then she saw me standing by the door with my bags. "Martin." She glanced at the broken laptop, then at my expression. What the HLL is going on? I turned to Braden. You think I'm gullible? Try me now. His mouth opened, then shut. He looked at his mother, waiting for her to defend him. But for the first time in our marriage, Holly was speechless. I grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and I never looked back. I drove without a destination. Just kept going, letting the Denver skyline fade behind me as my mind reeled. Everything felt surreal, like I'd just walked out of a bad dream. But the weight in my chest told me it was real. My wife, the woman I had spent years supporting, loving, trusting, had laughed about betraying me. My stepson, the kid I raised, cared for, sacrificed my job for, had seen me as nothing more than a gullible idiot to manipulate. And I had let them. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. How had I not seen it sooner? I stopped at a gas station off I-25, my hands shaking as I filled up the tank. My mind was still racing. What now? Did I go to a hotel? Sleep in my car? Find a lawyer? My phone buzzed in my pocket. Holly. I stared at the screen, debating whether to answer. Then, another notification. One new voicemail. I hesitated before pressing play. Her voice came through, sharp and irritated. Martin, what the HLL is wrong with you? Smashing Braden's laptop? That was completely uncalled for. I don't know what your problem is, but you need to come home and talk like an adult instead of throwing a tantrum. Call me back. I let out a slow breath. No apology. No guilt. Just anger that I fought back. I slid my phone into my pocket and got back in the car. I had one person I knew I could trust, my sister, Camille. She lived in Colorado Springs, about an hour away. We weren't as close as we used to be, but she was family. And right now, I needed family. I pulled into her driveway, close to midnight. The porch light was on, and before I could even knock, the front door opened. Camille stood there, eyes widening as she took in my duffel bag and my exhausted face. What happened? I exhaled. I need a place to stay. Without another word, she stepped aside and let me in. I dropped my bag by the couch, rubbing my face as I sat down. Camille sat across from me, arms crossed. Talk. So I did. I told her everything, Braden's injury, how I'd been running myself into the ground, the conversation I overheard, the laughter. When I finished, Camille let out a long breath. Jesus Christ. I nodded. She shook her head, leaning forward. Martin, I never liked Holly. Never told you because I figured, hey, it's your life. But that woman always rubbed me the wrong way. She's got this way of making everything about her. I swallowed. I don't get it. I gave them everything. And they used me. Camille scoffed. That's because you're a good person, and some people see that as an opportunity, not a gift. I ran a hand through my hair. What do I do now? She leaned back, thinking, are you going back? The thought made my stomach turn. No, then you need a plan. First, a lawyer. I rubbed my temples. A divorce lawyer? She gave me a look. Martin, you think Holly's gonna make this easy? She's already pissed you left. And the minute she realizes you're serious about walking away, she'll come after whatever she can get. I knew she was right. Holly wasn't the type to accept consequences gracefully. But the hardest part? I still wasn't sure if I was ready to say it. To say I wanted out. Camille sighed, picking up her phone. I know a guy. Family law. I'll text you his number. I nodded, staring at my hands. I felt like I was watching my life burn from the sidelines. And I still didn't know what kind of wreckage I'd be left with when the flames died down. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Camille was already in the kitchen, flipping through a newspaper like it was 1995. She barely glanced up as I dragged myself to the table. Sleep? She asked. Not much, I muttered, rubbing my eyes. Figured. She slid a cup of coffee toward me. Holly called 4 times. Left 2 voicemails. Want to hear them? Nope. Smart. I sighed, staring at the steam rising from my mug. I keep thinking about everything. How much I let them take from me. My time, my energy, my job. And you want to do something about it. I looked at her. She had that familiar smirk, the one she used to get when we were kids, and she was about to dare me to do something reckless. I hesitated. I don't want to be cruel. Cruelty isn't the goal, she said, sipping her coffee. Justice is. And, lucky for you, I have an idea. Camille set me up with Ryan Mercer, a divorce lawyer she trusted. After an hour of explaining my situation, Ryan sat back in his chair, tapping his pen against the desk. You're in a solid position, he said. The house is in your name, right? Yeah. And you were the primary provider? I nodded. Ryan smiled. Then this is going to be fun. I blinked. Fun? Holly doesn't work full-time. She's relied on you for years. If you file first, on your terms, you control the narrative. And based on what you told me, I bet she's not prepared for that. Camille grinned. Translation, you get to flip the script. For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Ryan leaned forward. Here's what we do. First, you freeze all joint accounts. Legally, since you're filing for divorce, you have that right. That way, she can't drain them out of spite. Then, you serve her the papers before she sees it coming. I hesitated. She's going to lose her mind. Ryan smirked. That's the fun part. That night, I went online and separated my finances. Our shared credit card? Canceled. The emergency savings I had in both our names. Moved to my personal account. Direct deposits from my new job. Rerouted to a new bank. By morning, Holly's money lifeline was cut. And then, I played my final card. What Holly had never bothered to realize was that the house, our house, was legally mine. She never contributed to the mortgage. Never helped with maintenance. So, when I had the lawyer draft up the official move-out notice, I knew exactly how she'd react. It was time for her to learn the same lesson I had. Never assume someone will let you walk all over them forever. 2 days later, my phone rang. Holly. I let it go to voicemail. Then Camille's phone rang. She picked up, put it on speaker. Where the HLL is our money. Holly screeched. Camille smirked. Oh, I don't know. Maybe with the person who actually earned it? This isn't funny. I just got a notice that the bank accounts are closed. I have bills, Martin. I took the phone. Not my problem. Holly's voice dropped to a lower, dangerous tone. You think you can just cut me off? I don't think. I know. Silence. Then, she hissed, you bastard. No, Holly. I was a good husband. A good stepfather. And you threw that away for a lazy kid who faked an injury and laughed in my face. She faltered. I didn't mean, I heard you, I said sharply. You laughed about using me. Well, laugh now, Holly. Because in 30 days, you and Braden will be out of my house. Her breath hitched. You can't do that. I can. And I did. Check your email. Official eviction notice. You have a month to find a new place. Braden's voice rang out in the background. MOM? What does he mean? I hung up. Camille burst out laughing. That was so satisfying. I exhaled. It really was. Holly tried to fight it. Threatened, begged, raged. But the law wasn't on her side. A month later, I drove past my old house to see a moving truck in the driveway. She lost. Braden was sitting on the porch, scowling at his phone. He saw me through my car window, and for the first time in his smug little life, he looked scared. Good. I rolled down the window just enough to say 2 words. Checkmate, kid. Then, I drove away. It took me months to rebuild. But I did. I got a new place. A better job. A new sense of self-respect. And Holly? Last I heard, she and Braden were living in a small apartment across town. No cushy life. No free ride. I hope he learned something from all this. Because I sure as HLL did. Never let people take advantage of you. And if they do, make damn sure they regret it.
يعني هو يعني احنا كل سنة بيبقى فيه تطور، بس هو الشكل العام انه بيبقى فيه تنظيم كويس في كل سنة، وهو الجديد المرة دي ان الحياة هي اللي بتغطي المهرجان. وتحية لكل العاملين في الحياة مني ومن فرقتي الموسيقية.
وعايزة انوه لحضرتك كمان انه النهارده الحفلة ترند. حفلة حضرتك يمكن كان في ترند الاول الاستاذ علي حجار وحضرتك النهارده. فيعني اعتقد ان ده نجاح كبير جدا كمان المشاهدين اللي بيشوفونا على التلفزيون.
ما كانش ليا حظ ان انا احضر حفلة الاستاذ علي.
أيوة
لكن هتابع بقى بعد كده كل الحاجات.
تابع وتشوف بقى الترند بقى والحاجات. إن شاء الله. سريعا كده اي جديد عند حضرتك بتقدمه الفترة اللي جاية؟
يعني انا